This is the beginning of Book 2, Chapter 1, titled Unexpected Visitors. Basically what happened is the children in the last chapter of the first book discovered a tree that had magically grown, an enchanted tree. Oh, then it was an entrance. And basically they entered the tree. So this begins from where I left off. A dark sense of foreboding had suddenly gripped the children as they realised that the door had closed fast behind them, shutting themselves off from what they knew. It was the blackness that had first confused them, taking the children by surprise, followed by the silence, still and quiet. For a minute or so they could see nothing other than vague black lumps and shapes of deeper shadows that they took to be one another. There was little or no sound either, other than that of their own panicky hearts beating in their ears. The darkness was on all sides and seemed permanent as the children fumbled their way into the narrow space. Disorientated by the sudden lack of light, they began to grope blindly at the blackness, their small hands working like crazed tentacles, desperately feeling and groping their way along the wall, until at last they felt the door. Several times they heaved, pulled and pushed at it, but it was hopeless. There was no option but to find an alternative route out. It was as dark as any tomb, and the air was dry, old and stale with age, and the musty odour of rotting wood. Frantically they groped in their rucksacks until at last they found what it is they were looking for. Torches in hand, beams of light suddenly sprang out and cut through the gloom as their eyes squinted in the dark. After a minute or so had passed, their sight slowly began to adjust to the lack of light. Cautiously they surveyed their new surroundings as the space, bit by bit, began to reveal itself to them. Here they could pick out an edge or a corner of something, and then the painted walls tantalised and were on the edge of coming into being. The animated carvings that were throughout the corridor seemed to move and jar in shards from the light hitting them, creating shadows that seemed to dance and come alive. Then the long corridor slowly began to realise itself in all its eeriness. Sorry for the bit slip up there. I'm not very good at reading out loud, like.